Hello there, my name is Martin Henley. This is the Effective Marketing Content Extravaganza. And if this is your first time here, you couldn't possibly know that I am on a mission to give you everything you could possibly need to be more successful in your business, providing, of course, what you need to be successful in your business is to know more about and be implementing more enthusiastically, more, what's the E? and effectively sales and marketing in your business. Efficiently was the second E. And of course, that's what you need if you're going to be more successful. You need more customers more profitably, and eventually everything you need to do that will be right here on this channel. And let's not pretend there's not lots and lots and lots of stuff that will help you with that right now. So what happens here is I'm here giving you everything I know about sales and marketing. That's what the series happening on a Monday. On a Tuesday, I bring in anyone I can find with experience to share that might be useful to you if you are looking to be more successful in your business. That's Talk Marketing on a Tuesday. On a Wednesday, Melanie Farmy comes through and we look at the marketing news and speculate wildly about what that might mean for you in your marketing life. And on the other Wednesdays, I'm here reviewing so you don't have to. On a Thursday, I think out loud. And on a Friday, we review the very best and the very worst of marketing content on the internet. So if that sounds like it might be interesting or useful, please tell me it does. Then now would be the best time to like, share, subscribe, and comment and do all of that good stuff. That will give us the motivation to continue on this epic, epic journey. So if you are tuning in as this goes live, it will be a Tuesday, which means it's Talk Marketing, which means we have a guest for you. So today's guest has software and web architecture experience going back to 2010. He also has 4 years sales and marketing experience when he was VP of sales and marketing with Ziggity Creative. He has also run his own business, Nouvelle Naturals, for more than 3 years. But mainly he has spent more than 10 years helping companies succeed with technology. He has most recently been Chief Technology Officer with Unicorn and is busy now launching his brand new business. What you may not know about him is that he is now a licensed pilot and has been since November of last year. Today's guest is Zack Perdue. Good evening, Zack.
Thanks for having me, Martin.
You are very, very welcome. So the reason we can talk about this, the reason we're talking now is because you triggered me with one of your Instagram stories. I've known you, I think, for 5-6 years. So I follow you on Instagram much more closely than you follow me by the sounds of it. And I'm interested in the stories that you put out. I'm interested in you because you have this kind of technology aspect and this marketing aspect, this entrepreneurial aspect. You've run your own business. But you were saying some interesting things about artificial intelligence and Chatgpt, like you better watch out, basically, I think is what you were saying. If you can't code, you're going to be in trouble. Chatgpt is going to take lots of people's jobs. Nobody wants to be flipping burgers. So I recognize you as kind of a digital enthusiast. You know, I've seen lots of things that you've posted about. I really enjoyed some of the things that you've posted around digital currencies, like this is one to watch type stuff, and you put up graphs. So I see you as much more digitally enthusiastic than me. And I think that's why it would be interesting to have a conversation at this point in history about what's going on around artificial intelligence. What do you think?
Yeah, so I would classify myself as very digitally enthusiastic. That's my background for as long as I can remember. I got started back in the day of MySpace, if you remember that at all.
I do remember that.
And ever since then, I've been coding software, helping clients launch new websites, completely custom stuff from scratch, different languages, mobile apps, marketing landing pages, funnels, integrating AI into existing apps, etc. But right now, my new thing I want to do is just work solely on Shopify sites. I find that the most fun because you get to combine a bit of development with a bit of marketing and some creativity. And that's where I feel I have the most fun.
Okay, cool. And I think it's important that you do have fun. And I think marketing is the most fun you can have in your business. That's what I think about marketing. So what did I want to say? I wanted to say something like this is a little bit off piste for me on like talk marketing, because you are, I think, more technology than, or maybe it's less off piste than I thought, because you have been helping companies succeed with technology. But it sounds now that we're speaking like you've been helping companies succeed with technology in their marketing, in their sales and marketing. So maybe it's more on topic than I thought it was.
Well, I would consider myself more of a generalist, but I do have experience all around. I would say I
Okay.
definitely have more experience in the software side of things, but I know what it takes to grow online. Um, I I'm really big into content marketing and SEO,
Okay.
or growing organically and using different tactics online that I've learned and implemented over the years.
Excellent. Okay, cool. All right, then. So I think what we should do, because there's a format here, I think what we should do is see if we can make the questions work. Yeah.
All right,
So
yeah, sure.
yeah. So it sounds to me then like your specialist subject is going to be using technology to help companies succeed with their marketing. Could we say that's your specialist subject?
Yeah, anything along the lines of implementing technology. I've got a broad range of skills that I've acquired over the years of like literally implementing code from scratch. If you need like a login system customized to your liking, I can do that. um, that integrates with marketing platforms, HubSpot, MailChimp, Klaviyo, all these things. So I have a lot of experience integrating the nuts and bolts of all of these strategies that people use. Um, not the Wizzywig CMS builder stuff, but the actual low level code software backend stuff, connecting systems and integrations.
Excellent. Okay, cool. So then what I'm interested to do today, because like I was saying to you before, is I've spoken quite a lot on this channel about AI, and like over the 2 years that I've been recording these things and posting these things, and as it's evolved, it seems to me like it's exploded onto the scene in like the last 3-4 months. It went from nowhere, like literally beginning of December, ChatGPT was launched. Maybe a couple of weeks before that, what's it called? Half journey, life journey, part journey,
Mid
mid
journey.
journey, mid journey. Maybe a month before that, mid journey actually started to be usable. But I don't have the most positive outlook. So what I'm probably interested to do is make your subject, if we can, um, using technology to help companies with their sales and marketing, with a particular focus on this explosion in this new opportunity, which is AI now. And I understand it's probably more about how you see it happening rather than what has happened because it's brand new. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
All right, super cool. So the 5 questions then are, first question, how are you qualified to talk to us about leveraging technology to help businesses with their sales and marketing? That will be question 1. Question 2 will be, who are you looking to work with and how are you going to be adding value in their lives, hopefully with this new technology? The third question is, what's your recommendation for people who want to get better at leveraging these new technologies to help them with their sales and marketing? Fourth question is, what should people read? Fifth question is, who can you throw under the bus who might endure or maybe even enjoy to have a conversation like this with me? So the first question then is, how are you qualified to talk to us about leveraging technology to help businesses in their sales and marketing?
How am I qualified? Well, besides my years of experience implementing all of these things, I use them daily in my own businesses. Over the years, I've started a few websites of my own, and you know, trial and error, really. Reading tons of books, trial and error, finding out what works, what doesn't, and um, throwing out what doesn't work.
Okay, good. Excellent. Right. So I feel this. Is this what we say? Is this what young people say? Because I was a lecturer. So in the noughties, when I was running my business properly, the Effective Marketing Company, from 2005 to about 2014, this is what we were doing: is we were banging our heads against the wall until it was bloody, getting everything working, email, websites, PPC campaigns, like all of these things, because there wasn't really at that point a guide. There was no history of this is how these things work, you know. So I understand that it's an exercise in trial and error. And I think the opportunity of digital marketing is that you can test. Do you know what I mean? So you can hone campaigns to make them more effective. Um, the question is, the question is, are these new technologies too powerful to be trialing and erroring? That's the kind of question that I have for you, maybe. Because, because they are powerful. I mean, there's no two ways about it. They are going to change. I mean, so people know, like, to get a sense, in your story, you were saying nobody wants to be flipping burgers. Nobody wants to be writing low-grade copy. Do you know what I mean? My feeling about this, and I really don't want to have another philosophical conversation, but I think we should now, just to establish where we're sitting on this, is people need jobs so they have money so they can buy things. And if I look at the way economies are going at the moment and the way societies are going, it is frightening to me how many people are excluded from the economy. Like, I don't know, there's hundreds of thousands of people who are homeless in the States. Hundreds of thousands of people are made bankrupt every year because they can't afford medical bills, et cetera, et cetera. So these are people who are essentially excluded from the economic system. And so I think what I always thought, as not knowing anything about economics, is like we give people jobs so they have money so they can buy things. Do you know what I mean? But it's frightening to me now how many people are being excluded from the economy and how the economy can still continue to function without those people in it. This got heavy quick, didn't it, man?
This can go deeper. This can go way deep.
Okay.
I,
Let's
I,
do
I
it, man.
I feel I feel if look, just this is on the tip of my tongue. This is just an example of what this is why I post these Instagram stories. I'm in the United States and we have drive-through fast food and I order something and I drive up to the window and whoever is serving the food, a lot of the times they look like they're depressed. They're not smiling. They're not doesn't look like they enjoy their job. So it just makes me think what is what is life? What is living? And what is the purpose of it? Are we meant to build our life around our job, or are we meant to build our job around our life? Right. So I think the way capitalism has served us so far, it's driven people to sell much more of their time than they should be, I believe. And imagine a day and age when these people no longer have to wake up at 5 a.m. to go to McDonald's to serve people on their way to work too, or staying up till 3 in the morning doing, drive-through services. This can all be done by AI. Yes, that does take jobs. However, the way I see it happening is our society should be transitioning to more creative services and allowing people to kind of flex their creative muscle and be live more true to themselves because it's already happening online. The creator economy, everybody's in e-commerce selling to each other really online. That's already happening. Now, everything right now that is brick and mortar, they're going to be struggling if they don't have a way to bring in revenue, right? And if they have fewer workers, that means their service is going to lack in quality. It's already happening. Service is slow. It's hard to get. It's hard to get served quickly, even inside restaurants. There's less attendance, and I feel like people. This definitely happened during the pandemic, and people I think really realized life is more than just working. And I feel like AI can help with that.
Okay, so you're talking about like maybe the creator economy, like the solopreneur. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, the thing is, I know you do, and I really like the world. Do you know what I mean? I like to be in the surf taking photos, getting smashed up. That's what I really like. So I don't particularly enjoy the fact that people are becoming less outside living. Do you know what I mean? Nature living or whatever that's like in the world. Um, and it worries me, man. It really worries me. I mean, I understand what you're saying about the creator economy, and I understand what you're like because you and I know each other. Like we were caught up in the like digital nomad thing is how we met. Um,
Hmm.
but that was kind of rooted in this idea that you can go out and be you and sustain yourself. Do you know what I mean? But I don't know how many of those people that we met in those times were actually sustaining themselves. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know how much space there is in the world for people to sustain themselves like that. Do you know what I mean? If I look at who has been successful in the creator economy, it's a pretty steep pyramid. Like from the top, the most successful people, the Joe Rogans, are hoovering it all up, and at the bottom, where the masses are, they're not necessarily doing a great deal, and that's where I am. So that's how I know about being at the bottom. Um, so I just wonder, and then you are at the mercy of the algorithms and the corporations. So I don't know. I know that people are making money from TikTok. I know that people are making money from like Instagram and those things still, but I don't know how many people that could actually sustain. Do you have a view on that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of room actually because like really everybody's unique. There's so many opportunities out there. How many clients really do you need to sustain yourself? If you're charging enough and you have good clients and you do good work, you only need 4 or 5 clients a month. And the hard part obviously is getting the leads, right? But if you can get them, you're gonna be carrying hopefully a few of your clients monthly. That's the goal, right? So I think I think a lot of what's taught in capitalism and what's taught online on YouTube is all these get rich quick schemes, and maybe that used to work, and that there's always going to be a market for that. But really, it's about getting. I don't even say get rich. It's about getting wealthy slowly. And I think if people if people think about what it is they offer the world, then I think it's going to be a lot easier to see the value. That is, if the person has a high value skill. We can't, you have to have a high value skill.
Yes. Okay, good. Right. So I'm with you on the first part of what you said. I'm much more interested in how little you need to sustain yourself. Like that's where I am. I'm not interested in being wealthy. I'm certainly not interested in being rich. I'm certainly not interested in working very much. So that's kind of where I've got to. Is I came to a realization over the probably before I got on this particular journey around 2015 about how little I need, and I've had no difficulty whatsoever in generating that. Do you know what I mean? And and really not working very much, which has been really nice, which has freed me up to have hobbies like this. So that's really cool. I'm in that part of it. So you're like much less creator economy. And I suppose there is more to this. So we're talking about creator economy. There's people who get paid to produce to TikTok or YouTube or whatever. But you're talking about maybe the solopreneur, where you might be a marketing agency, for example. You might be a creative agency. You
Yeah.
might be so it's that kind of
Yeah, I don't
self-sustaining small
necessarily
business.
mean the creation of videos, right? You're
Right.
not necessarily creating that, but you're creating value and you're
Yes.
offering it to your peers.
Good. Okay. And I 100% agree that you need to find a way that you add value in the world, and it needs to be valuable. Okay, good. I'm in agreement. Okay, but to go, like I worked in McDonald's for a summer. You can imagine how that went down.
Well,
um,
there was a reason it was only a summer.
yeah, but this is it. Do you know what I mean? It's like my worry about the way it goes for people is, as I was growing up, there was kind of a progression. Do you know what I mean? It's like you work at McDonald's, you do something else, you do something else. Like I was properly in that progression. Like you graduate from university, you go and sell media, is what I did in London, and then but there was kind of that progression. Whereas my concern is like students need jobs for the summer. You know, I like people, and it's interesting that you're talking about McDonald's because I hate their kiosks, and like for me, it's so transparently about removing the personal equation. Do you know what I mean? It's so like so from the other perspective, like McDonald's trick was their silly question: "Would you like fries with that?" Because it doubled the size of their orders every time. Do you know what I mean? Because now you're having fries, you might as well have the meal, etc., etc. So what's the point of that? The point of that is, I think the economy needs jobs for people who are at that level. I think by the time you're having a career in McDonald's, then that can't be a good thing. But also, I think consumers want to see faces and have interactions. I certainly do. You know, I don't know what the question is.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's still, it, yeah, obviously it's still early to tell how all that's going to play out, right? Um,
Yeah.
I see it. I see the biggest change probably happening in education because all of the money that's being spent on university right now, that's all going to go away. Like, yes, you need university for certain subjects. Like, if you're going to become a doctor, you can't become a doctor without going to university. But you can teach yourself almost everything you need to know online on YouTube, and especially if you've been doing it a long time, you're gonna know the ins and outs from trial and error uh, from just doing. But the thing is, what I'm really fearing for is the next generation of people that are hooked on TikTok and Reels and all this stuff.
Yeah. And I kind of feel for those people as well. So to take to take my example, me as an example, I went to sell media. I was working on the telephone. I was dialing 150 numbers a day. I was speaking to maybe 30 people a day who could make a decision, but I was speaking to 100 people probably a day who engaging with 100 people. And that's how I learned to do marketing. You know, that's how I learned to identify and open and essentially close an opportunity. Whereas now it seems to me is that somebody who's going into a career in marketing doesn't necessarily get that opportunity to engage with people personally. So they don't get that opportunity to learn how to do that. So how do they become then um, good at marketing, good at that bit, identifying markets, uh, seeing opportunities, realizing opportunities, closing opportunities? If that bit is gone, do you know what I mean? It's like I can't remember the guy's name, Tony something at McDonald's. I remember him screaming at me because there was a pubic hair in the urinal still. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like that was probably an essential part, or certainly it was a part, whether it was essential or otherwise, of learning how I deliver value in the world. Do you know what I mean? It's like if there is less engagement, how do we learn that? How do we learn to be valuable human beings? I wonder.
Yeah, that's a good question. I agree. I think one way, obviously, is spending more time with each other and less time on our screens, right?
Yes.
That's like the next pandemic is is everyone's on screens, right?
Yes.
So imagine, what are you doing? Like, for instance, I know a lot of kids in high school and even middle school now. They all have an iPhone and they're all on TikTok and Instagram. And well, what's happening? They're on their screen rather than doing and creating and playing outside. And they're so their creativity, that muscle, creativity, not you're not born creative really. Some people are, but I believe it's a muscle, and that the more you use it, creativity is objective. You can you can be creative doing anything. So if 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 our youth are not learning to use their creativity and strengthen it, I think they're really in trouble. You know, uh, they're going to struggle with mental sickness, mental illness, because where's the value they're bringing? You know, they're not
100%.
they're not going to
And
be employable. You know,
yes,
there's
100%.
nothing
I
being
agree.
created.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. 100%. So I don't know if you read *Sapiens*, did you, by Yuval Noah Harari? I have to Google this every time I say his name because I'll never remember it.
Yeah,
But
no, I haven't. It's on the list though. I just haven't gotten around to reading that one.
okay, I mean that's a good read. And but the second book called *Homo Deus* is about what we're talking about now. Now, this I think came out 2016, 2017, but he's talking about this. He's talking about AI and what it will be doing for us. But what he says is the jobs that will come, which was horrifying, well, not horrifying to me because I'm not that qualified, but interesting to me, is the jobs that he said that would be threatened first were, we've seen self-driving vehicles, so drivers are in trouble. But what he was saying is it will be the legal profession and it will be the medical profession, because his argument was, why would you employ a lawyer to write a contract for you when you could use an AI which could read every contract that's ever been written in history and produce one for you, like the perfect contract for you in a few seconds? And the medicine thing is interesting because, or the medical thing, because what he was saying is that that why would you, I mean, this is literally what he was saying, is like, why would you wait for people to start turning up at doctor's surgeries when you can see what they're talking about online? You can see what they're talking about, like, I've got a sniffle today, or my back's killing me, or whatever. So you could see if something was endemic in the population, and the AI could administer the medicine through the water supply system. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, that's what he was talking about. But interesting, what was interesting about that was it was doctors and lawyers, the most invested in their education, who are going to be in trouble when AI comes. And his recommendation, I hope I'm remembering it correctly, is that basically you have to be creative, because it's creatives that will continue to be successful, because computers can't be creative. Hey ho, 2023, computers are being creative. You know, it is Mid-Journey and it is Chatgpt. So it is creating images and it is writing content. And this is the first place where AI has gone to. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think it's interesting, frightening, all of these things. They've just used it in a legal case. Have you seen this? In California, they've referred to ChatGPT to tell them something. I don't know, whatever. So it's like if the
I didn't
lawyers
hear
are
about
rolling over
that.
to this. Yeah.
I the only thing that I heard about is, there was scrutiny over where they got their training data from for Midjourney or something.
Right.
Like if all the images they used as input data were scraped from, stock image websites and then processed to maybe remove the watermark, right? So that's a bit iffy. That's sketchy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's more sketchy than that, because the training data has come from all of the art that has been on the internet. So now you can literally
Hmm.
go to, I mean, I can't make it work, man. But you can literally go to Midjourney and you can say, okay, create me an image in the style of a particular artist. And it will do it because that particular artist's art is in its training data. So the question then becomes, why would you ever commission an artist to create you anything anymore, when you can go to Midjourney and say, create me a piece of art in this style, with this subject, with this color palette? Do you know what I mean? And then it fits beautifully into your home. Why would you ever pay an artist to do that ever again? You know, that's that's why artists are
Absolutely.
unhappy about Midjourney.
Yeah, but I think I think people are still lazy though.
Okay, well, people are lazy is the problem. That's at the core of it, is the problem. It's the convenience that will cost us all of our liberties. I've said it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yes.
That's the way it's all moving though. Everything's
Yes.
becoming more and more convenient.
Yes.
It's not necessarily a good thing.
No, it's not necessarily a good thing. And I think the default position is, but it's coming. So, but Elon Musk and 100 other notable technologists have said that there should be a moratorium on the development of AI until there's some regulation. I mean, the government getting involved, I don't see how that's going to help necessarily, but um, it's coming. It's
Well, I
coming.
think it's already here. AI is it's at the weakest point it's ever going to be again.
Yes.
It's the most stupidest right now that it's ever going to be. It's just going to
Yes.
get smarter.
Yes.
I mean, people like me, we're software engineers. I'm in a lot of software engineering channels. Everybody's talking about AI. Everybody's
Yes.
implementing into their apps. It's everywhere already, and it's only going to get better. But the thing is, it's missing it. It's not the output is not consistent enough quite yet, but that's going to be fixed very soon as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. And Mid Journey, for example, can't do hands. Have you heard about this?
Well, there's people working on that.
Yes, yes. No, of course. And Zuckerberg's metaverse can't do legs. Like this is so, but this is where we are. So there are, I think, gaping holes in it. But it's like you say, it's going to get smarter. This is machine learning. Do you know what I mean? Every time somebody engages with it, it develops. It evolves. So yeah. So I think the default position is it's coming. What do we do? You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. I suppose
That's right.
is the
Follow the.
message.
That's what I've
Yes.
I've always said. Follow the current, and it has to be at the intersection of what you love doing. It's just plain and simple. And I think that's what we should be teaching our youth is,
Yeah.
do what makes you happy and pursue that with a lot of passion. And you also have to learn how to sell and market yourself. Like, let's be honest, at this day and age, you have to really be a generalist. You have to know a little bit of everything. The more you know, the better. But if you're not constantly educating yourself, you're going to get left behind. And right now, AI is kind of at the forefront of what everyone's talking about. So if you don't have some sort of knowledge in AI, or you're not starting to implement it, if you're not starting to use it, it's like you're not it's like the people that don't read their textbooks in high school. Like, you never read that textbook, but all some of your peers did, but they're going to go on to know what they read, and you're just going to kind of be left in the dark. I think it's very important right now more than ever to invest in education, especially around technology and the internet.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
the thing is, I
everything
think,
is being moved to the internet.
yeah. The thing is, I think that education is like, what's the word? Completely inappropriate for life now. Do you know what I mean? What they're teaching in schools, what I was taught in schools, really does nothing to prepare you for being a useful member of society. It might, if you take the most pessimistic view, prepare you to become a drone in a drone economy, where they need people to sit on manufacturing lines or those kinds of things. Um, but the education I got, and the education I think hasn't changed that much necessarily since I stopped being educated 30 years ago, is is completely not fit for purpose. And I think the university system is a racket. They have become hugely wealthy institutions, and they're also not particularly preparing people for life afterwards. Um, so I agree with you on that. The question is then, do you want some good news?
Well, as long as you serve it with bad first.
No, there's only good news. The good news is I think you're
Okay.
qualified to talk to us about how we leverage this new technology to help businesses sell and market themselves. So we can go then to question two. It's quite kind of working the questions. So question two, then let's adapt it a little bit. Is how how will you be leveraging these new technologies to support your customers to be more successful in their sales and marketing?
I've already been using it, and I'm very open about it too. I've told my clients about ChatGPT. I tell them I get some of the content for their website from ChatGPT. It saves them money. It saves me time. It's a win-win for everybody. And it sounds a lot better than I could do a lot of
Yes.
times. At least in the short amount of time, it just saves me time. Like I pay 20 bucks a month for the version 4, and I would pay more.
Yeah.
It's because it saves so much time. And the way I've been using it lately is, a bit of SEO, like titles and descriptions. I don't generate entire articles. I think Google's going to be onto that. So the way I've been doing it is I put in context, I generate an outline, and then I I write a prompt to get what I want out of it, and I massage the copy into how I want it to be. So I'm still writing it. It's just that I'm writing it in chunks instead of the entire article, and I massage it into, you know, it's kind of like Play-Doh. You make it be what it needs to be.
Yes. 100%. And I think that's the danger, though, is I think that people will just put the prompt in and publish whatever comes out. So for me, I see the value of it more as a starting point. Like I'm not producing copy necessarily, but I've used it to suggest outlines for courses that I might design. Um, I mean, I think it's incredible at that. You can say, give me a 5-day outline for a whatever course, and it will do that. And you can say, okay, who are the leading thinkers? What are the leading books? So for me, I think it's an amazing research tool. But I think coming back to what you were saying before, people are extraordinarily lazy and they will just put the prompt in and they will think they've done their work. Do you know what I mean? I think the
Yeah.
danger of this is that like nobody creates anything ever again. Do you know what I mean? That's the real scary danger is that essentially it draws a line under like human creation. You know, why create an image? Why create a piece of text if you can just do it much more simply there? So how do you like you're saying that people are implementing this into their apps? What does that look like? How do you go about I mean, maybe we should understand Chat GPT the way you understand Chat GPT. What do you see as its capabilities?
Oh, honestly, the capabilities of ChatGPT are endless. The
Okay.
applications, though, that I'm seeing right now, especially in my world, software, um, they're being used to write code. There's a thing called GitHub Copilot. It that increases my speed if I'm writing the code for a website. It's usually all done by hand at least once, so you're not reinventing the wheel. But like now, ChatGPT can write a lot of it for me. And don't get me wrong, it's not perfect. I have to go in and fix things very often because it doesn't work. But it provides the starting point, the boilerplate, the concept almost sometimes, the outline for what we're trying to do. Now, here's the thing: you need domain experience to use ChatGPT. You can't be a non-programmer and go and create a software product with ChatGPT. You could if you spent enough time, but you're going to come out at the end of it knowing a bit of how to program.
Yes. Okay, so that's interesting. So right now, like you say, this is as dumb as it's ever going to be.
Hmm.
How far away? I mean, and let's remember that this only came on our radar at the beginning of December, and it's now April. How far away are we, do you think, from um, a ChatGPT that produces perfectly usable code?
Probably the next version. Um, I think
Fine.
it's coming very soon. Really, I mean, it can already be used with perfectly usable code. It just depends on the use case, right? Like it gets all of its information, all of its training data from public repositories. So it's not going to know, it doesn't know the code that Facebook uses, at least not all of it. But it knows the libraries that are open source, the ones that are public, the ones that everyone has access to on the internet. It knows how it works, and I think they're training these models in a way that it niches down on certain topics, like software. That's one thing I think they they train it on specifically, not just text, but like specifically how to write code. But I could be wrong. I don't know. It seems like they do though. There's like
Yes.
edge cases, you know what I mean? You can't train it to be perfect in everything. It's more of a generalist, but they do niche down on certain topics to improve the quality that it outputs in those topics.
Yeah. I wonder, has anyone actually engaged in like a quality assessment of what it's producing? I wonder how you would go about doing that. Somebody must have
Well,
done that.
it did pass the bar exam at like, you know, the, it was in the top 10 percentile.
For the bar exam, what's the bar exam?
Yeah. That, I don't know if you guys have it in other parts of the world, but in the United States, it's what you have to take in order to become a certified, attorney or a lawyer.
Yes, 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 we do. And we call it the same thing. I just thought it might be different. Okay. So so then how long is it before it is challenging software developers for their jobs?
Oh, I mean, some software developers, it's already challenged them and it's already gotten rid of probably the lower level ones. But it's also probably given a lot more software developers jobs than it's taken away, I would think, because a software engineer is a very particular type of person. They're okay with hitting their head against the wall and having something not work for hours and days on end and solving issues and eventually it working. So, very, very hard headed people, very analytical, very like self driven type of people, software engineers. So give an idea to a good software engineer and they'll build it, right? And
Right.
I think it's just strengthening people. It's made me want to build more things rather than take my job away. It's made me want to work more.
Okay.
I think the people that harness this technology, it'll add value to their life. It'll benefit them more than it will to take away. I don't think it's going to take away anything.
Right.
But if you're not
Okay.
if you're not using it, you're missing out. Like one Instagram post I said, um, the very definition of literacy is changing,
You
right?
did say that.
Coding is going to be a coding is going to be right on the level of being literate. If you don't know how to code, you're not going to be considered fully literate. It's another form of communication. Imagine if we're communicating, you and we use English. That's the written human language. That's how we've been communicating for millennia. Well, now we're in the information age. Well, who's communicating with the computers? It's the software engineers. If you're not literate in software, like everything's going to software. So I I think it's good advice to probably learn how to code, at least how to read it or understand what it's saying. You don't have to know how to write it, but I think there's a lot of platforms now that even remove the complexity, and they're trying to make it more approachable, and they're making it more like a drag and drop interface to program. They call it no code. Um, so there's like people that don't have any idea how to code can start making things online now.
Okay, so the thing is, I understand what you're saying because I used to sell IT, and we had so I was working with coders, software developers, and we had one guy, and he was working for a government, the division of the government, transportation in South Africa. And we were providing, this was 20 years ago, we were providing, more than 20 years ago, we were providing like an accelerated coding tool for mainframe or IBM environments, AS400s and mainframe. So it's that kind of technology. And he would go to work from 10 o'clock at night till like 6 o'clock in the morning, specifically because the management weren't there. And his bugbear was like when management would challenge him on what he's doing, and he would be like, leave me alone. I'm creating things. Do you know what I mean? So he was
Hmm.
like a rebel with a cause, and but I don't even want to think about the state of that code that he was producing between 10 o'clock at night and 6 o'clock in the morning. Do you know what I mean? It's like when he's high on Red Bull and accelerated coding. I don't know. I don't know. Um, you're the only person I've heard say that is that you need to learn to code. I don't fancy it. I'm not going to learn to code. I'm too old.
Well, think about the younger generations. You know, what what did everyone learn in middle school and high school? How to read,
Yeah.
how to spell. And there's even people that venture out and learn French, Spanish, German, other languages. Coding, all coding is another language. It's just a language. It's like a language of logic and a language of speaking with a computer, telling it what to do. So I think it's important to at least understand how humans communicate with a computer. It doesn't necessarily have to be low level as a software engineer, because not everybody can be a software engineer. It's an extremely stressful type of job.
Yeah. So now I'm wondering what percentage of the world have access to a computer? In general, the share of households with a computer has steadily increased worldwide. Customer usage and internet access. Okay, so characteristics. Share of households was 2019 was 47% is the latest that they've got. So it's up above that. I do wonder sometimes if we are over egging like the technological revolution. Like clearly, where you live and where I'm from, this um, has become ubiquitous. But in other parts of the world, I don't think people see computers so much. But in terms of I don't know, man. I really don't know. And I suppose that's what makes it exciting is that we don't know. We can only speculate.
Yeah, I agree. And, I'm probably a bit biased because, I spend every day in this realm of software. So I'm, more closely, in touch with it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with what you say. Like, there is less, like, there's less people in the world that should be concerned with learning how to code than as they should be more concerned with like just getting outside and having good relationships with people. Because at the end of
Yes.
the day, um, who is buying your product online? It's another person. Even if it's AI in the end, um, you still have to make a relationship with a person before they're going to pay you. It's not
Yes.
That's never going to go away.
Well, that is never going to go away. But it's like I read a thing, I don't know when it was years ago now, where they said they were developing, it was supposed to be in one of the phones, I think, where basically you could say to your phone assistant, schedule me a hair appointment, and it would call the hairdresser and have the conversation where the thing would get scheduled. And then, so, like, that's a skip away from talking to the hairdresser's system and just putting you straight into the calendar. Do you know what I mean? So there won't be interaction required there for very long. But the application that I got excited about was cold calling, because people hate cold calling. Do you know what I mean? So why not build
Hmm.
an AI that will cold call businesses for you? And that would be great, because the computer won't take no for an answer necessarily. It'll be a bit more resilient. It'll be a bit more challenging. But then immediately what happens is you build that cold calling tool. Somebody will build the AI receptionist tool, and immediately now it's just computers talking to each other. It's going absolutely nowhere. You've got the computer that doesn't want to take no for an answer, and the computer that only says no, and this is the way it's going on. And I feel like we're seeing this already, like with the way it's gone with bots on LinkedIn, for example, or Twitter, or whatever. It feels to me just a bit like, it feels to me a little bit like we're just getting to that situation where it's just computers talking to computers. But you're 100% right. These computers don't have bank accounts. They're not going to be actually buying stuff. So it is about, there has to be one human being engaged. And I don't know. I mean, we haven't spoken about it. I've spoken about it before, but this, like, the whole nature of truth is going out the window. Like, what can you actually trust anymore? Like you're saying, you're being upfront about you're using ChatGPT. This is what I saw as in December. All of my funky friends are like, hey, I'm playing with ChatGPT and it created this post for me, and here's the post. And then by January, they're not saying ChatGPT created this post anymore. They are just presenting as erudite motherfuckers. Do you know what I mean? Like, now, with this
Yeah.
deep level of
Well,
knowledge and
that's
communication and stuff. So I don't see that, like, there's a novelty to doing it openly now, but I don't see that persisting, because people don't want to know what computers say. People want to know what you say. Do you know what I mean? And that has to be consistent when you turn up in my business. You need to be saying what you were saying in your posts. And maybe you can't if they were AI generated.
that's exactly right. So I think it's important that you don't use it in that way. You shouldn't use it to say something that you couldn't already say yourself. We're only using it to save ourselves time.
Yes. And I think, yeah, I mean, the way I use it is, the thing that I do now with ChatGPT in particular is I say include the sources, and it just includes the sources, because I have to do that, because I might be teaching people. Do you know what I mean? So I can't pretend that I came up with this thing. I don't want to pretend like I came up with this thing. So I think it is useful. I found another thing from reference.com. They say that 34% of the world's population are internet users. So it is a third of the world's population are internet users rather than all of them. I do think there's a danger there that in the West we are kind of over-egging this information technology revolution, and it hasn't even reached the majority of people on the planet yet. Okay, good. Right, so interesting. So shall we go to question number 3?
Let's do it.
What's your recommendation for people who are looking to get better at leveraging these new technologies to support them to be more successful with their sales and marketing?
Yeah. Um, just go and try them out, you know? Go get an account on Midjourney. Go sign up to ChatGPT. Go see what it can do for you. And YouTube. Go on YouTube. There's everyone and their dog is talking about AI right now. It's all free too. It's all on YouTube. Go watch. There's tons of people teaching you how to write the prompts to be more successful. And like that's a big thing right now too, is you kind of have to know how to write the prompts to get what you're after, right? So there's even people throwing around the term prompt engineer, like a
Yes.
person who is exceptionally good at creating these artificially intelligent prompts to kind of pull out what you're after from AI.
Yeah, I really feel like that's over-egged. But what I'm seeing now is people are going to ChatGPT to create the prompts for Mid-Journey, for example, and having some
Hmm.
decent. Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. Do I think it's? I think it's exciting. I think the issue is, I think, is it's like all of these things. It typically goes to the lowest common denominator. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't
Yeah.
spiral up to where it could be beautiful for everyone, unfortunately. And I think this is kind of
Well, it
tricky,
will
isn't it?
eventually. It's just going to take time, more time.
Why are you so
We've
optimistic?
already been using it. We've already been using it. Like Tesla's already using it, AI for driving, so autonomous driving. Um, Twitter, they use AI to ban your account if it detects something that shouldn't be on Twitter. Same with Facebook, Instagram. Everything is running these AI systems. The only thing that's changed now is that the AI has been it, OpenAI, the company that released ChatGPT, created a product that was digestible for the average person. Really, is what they've done. This AI
Yeah.
already existed. Maybe it wasn't so good, but now it's to the point where it's actually useful, and it actually can, like, people can actually sign up to it right now and start using it. And that's never really been the case. AI before ChatGPT was released, you had to be a software engineer to use any of it. And
Mm.
then you have to be very specialized in software to know how to implement it. So it's like
Yeah. So
now the normal person has gained access to AI. It wasn't like that months ago. That's the
So
difference.
this is like what Microsoft and Apple did when they introduced the home computer. It's just becoming available to the masses.
Yeah, I think it's akin to that. It's that big. It's just as
Yes.
big as when the internet was released. Imagine imagine AI knowing you so well, kind of how the Facebook algorithm works. Now imagine, here's an idea for someone to build. Imagine you type into Google, the web page is going to be like they're already dynamically generated, but they're going to be generated by AI now, and it's going to show you exactly what you're after. And the website is even the appearance of the website is going to be customized to you, and it's going to be customized not only to you, but in order to get you, if it's mostly probably a product, it's going to be customized to, like, sell that product to you in the most efficient manner.
Yeah. The thing is, for
Imagine you can
me,
type in a query and the website just becomes, and it says what it needs to, and it looks like what it needs to. It's not like a normal website where someone like me creates, it's like a template, and then you have the title and the variables and the content, all that gets swapped out. No, this is the entire website is is custom. It doesn't exist except for you in this moment.
wow.
It's like on the
Yeah.
fly.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't share your optimism. I do think these things go to the lowest common denominator, and I do think they end up causing problems. Like, for example, the thing is, I was there in the noughties and in the early teensies or whatever they're called. Like between 2005 to 2014, I was jumping up and down. Get yourself a website, get on social media, do all these things. But the long term outcome has been, for example, with social media, the long term outcome has been increased depression, increased bullying, increased loneliness, all these things. Like you look at the digitalization of our mating processes, they're reporting now that these sites are having a massive impact on people actually coming together in relationships because the tiniest percentage of males get the greatest percentage of interactions from females, and nobody else gets a look in. So the thing is, I do think that these things have huge impacts, and the longer term impact. Like even now, if I use somebody on Upwork, if I don't give them 5 stars, they have a fit. They have to have 5 stars. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
if I give them like a 5, a 5, a 5, and a 4, it destroys them because it has to be a 20 because otherwise people don't engage them. So I don't think these technologies. I do think these technologies need to be thought out more, and I do think they have bigger and quite often more dangerous impacts than we could possibly be aware of. And I think we should, yeah, I think we should be more careful. Do you think there's any way that Elon Musk and these 100 academics, scientists, whatever they are, can slow down the advance of AI, or do you think that there's no stopping it now? It's got too much momentum.
Well, I mean, imagine. I would imagine if this guy, what's his name, Sam Altman, he's created our OpenAI and ChatGPT, and now I couldn't imagine China has their own AI. Why would they stop?
Yes. Yes.
We're you, dude. You know the Americans. We've created this F-35, this jet fighter.
Okay.
You you can't. The fighter pilots can't fly this thing without AI. The plane is not. The plane can't fly without AI.
Yeah.
You cannot control the surfaces on the airplane without AI. You can't fly this plane like a normal plane. It requires AI to fly, like the flaps, the everything. Now imagine it's just because it's so complicated. It's like it's so technologically advanced. It takes a computer to run it, and cars are like that nowadays too. Look at the Tesla.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing is, I remember my dad and the neighbours all standing around the bonnet of their cars as they fixed them in the 70s and the 80s. Do you know what I mean? Now you've got no chance. Like the chip says no. The chip says, take me to a dealership. We want to extract a lot of money from you. So I think that's for me the danger. I mean, I think you're right. I don't think there's any slowing it down. And I think you have to learn to surf. You have to get on it, or else you are going to be at some kind of disadvantage. And I think also, like we've seen, like Midjourney will be producing hands really soon, and ChatGPT will get over its coding errors pretty soon. The thing I think about with software engineers, it producing software and code, is I was in South Africa between '99 and 2004, and I was doing work with Telcom, the telecommunications provider, like the corporate government previously Telcom's provider, and they told me that when apartheid fell, like the white telecoms engineers were going around to all the post office boxes and taking out all the wires and putting them in the wrong places, like they were sabotaging it because they could see the end coming for them personally. Do you know what I mean? So I wonder if there might be a
Yeah,
similar situation with software engineers and ChatGPT, because people need jobs, man, and people want their jobs, and I think people will resist if there is the opportunity to do so. Hmm.
yeah. I mean, I don't see that happening really. That'd be very hard to do, like to throw a proverbial wrench in things, but that very well could happen on like the small business level. Sure, you can get a disgruntled software engineer employee who could do something malevolent. Sure, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that happens without AI.
And now, yeah, and now I'm thinking like there's two sides to the SEO coin. Like there's the improving your stuff, and there's the dumping on your competitors' stuff. Now, if that is automated, like if you can write a piece of code that will just go out and hack your competitors' websites and stuff, I mean, it's just yeah. The thing is, I think we don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be interesting. You're going to see it just before I do, I think. So let me know when something really exciting happens. Okay, cool. Should we go to question number 4?
Sure.
Okay, question number 4. What should people read, or what content should people be consuming? Are you a reader
Mm.
or are you a content consumer?
Yeah, I'm a reader, and I used to do a lot of blogs. I haven't, I don't, I used to get up in the morning and read a blog. Like I had blogs I would read. That was more so when I was like learning software. But nowadays, one book I read it probably 10 years ago now. It was The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. I don't know, maybe you've read that, but that's one I recommend people read.
Yeah, that is an amazing book. That book changed a lot of people's lives.
Yeah. I have a funny story about that book, but um, I mean, what else? I've got The 4 Hour Body. I mean, The Magic of Thinking Big, The Secret, uh, How to Win Friends and Influence People, all the
Yeah.
typical books. Um, I'm a big reader, but it's all like self improvement or technology or marketing, stuff like that.
Okay.
I
Super.
can send you a bigger list later. I can't really think of everything now.
Okay. What was it you said? The magic of what was the other one?
The Magic of Thinking Big.
The magic of thinking big. Okay, that's cool. It's all right. I only need a couple. And you know what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to read them and then I'm going to read them mindfully and then I'll review them as part of the reviews on a Wednesday because I think it's all, and this is where I think you and I agree probably the most. I think it's all about personal development, self improvement, and
Hmm.
those things. I think you have to be investing in yourself right now. And I wasn't reading for a long time, so this is why I ask everyone for recommendations. Okay, cool. So the magic of thinking big, I haven't read, so I'll put that on my reading list. 4 Hour Work Week is an amazing book. What I like about Tim Ferriss is that he has an amazing capability, and Malcolm Gladwell does this as well, of just inverting things and making them make sense. Do you know what I mean? So, like the story
Hmm.
about how he won some martial arts competition in Japan by losing a stone and then putting a stone on the next day for the fight or something like that. It's that clever, interesting thinking. Okay, brilliant. So now I just need to check in with you and see how you're feeling about your appearance on the Talk Marketing Show.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun so far. Yeah, I need to
Cool.
do more podcasts. That's one thing I don't do as a software engineer. I spend way too little time talking to other humans, I will admit.
Yes.
That's my weak spot.
Yes. And the thing is about this is that this is like the value of this is amazing. Like the networking is amazing. If you say to people, will you come on my podcast? They do. So you get to have those conversations. And yeah, the quality of the conversation is better because you have a conversation like in a way that other people might hear it. Do you know what I mean? So you do think a bit more
Hmm.
and engage a bit more. Okay, the reason I'm asking you that is because now I'm going to see if there is anyone you can throw under the bus. So I'm looking for a couple of recommendations for people that you can introduce me to that you think might endure or maybe even enjoy to have a conversation like this with me.
Do I have to call them out on here?
You have to
What
call
are
them
you
out right
looking
now and tell
for?
me why that you think they're interesting.
I've got another buddy. He's much more heavily into AI than I am.
Okay, that would be interesting.
Yeah, so maybe you could get into some real technical stuff with him. He's also a software engineer though, but
Okay.
his primary thing is AI.
Okay, fantastic. What's his name?
His name is Chance Large.
Chance Large.
Yeah,
Okay, super cool. And if you could put
we
together like a
went to
little
high school
introduction.
together actually.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. That's the cool thing about being American is you will know people called Chance Large, for example. I don't know anyone called Chance Large. Okay, is there one other person you can recommend?
Hmm. What are you looking for?
What I'm looking for is just interesting people to speak to. It's kind of universe led. So I ask everyone to recommend a couple of people. If people recommend two, then one will come, and that's how I've got to 100 plus kind of episodes of this thing.
Right, all right. Like, give me a second to think. Hmm. I can't really think of anything other than him.
It's cool. If
Um,
anyone occurs to you, you know exactly where I am, and you can put me in touch with them. But if you
I'll
could put
I'll
together like a
think
little
more.
okay, think more, man. But if you could put together like a little introduction, either on Instagram or LinkedIn or however it might be, To chance that would be really cool. I'd be interested to have more conversations about this AI thing. I don't want to be speaking about it all the time, but it's a big thing already, and it's only ever going to get bigger, I think.
Yeah, I recommend joining the conversation for sure. We already have.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what I recommend is learning it, getting
Yes.
your hands dirty, rolling your sleeves up, getting in there, trying it out. Just go in, sign up for an account, go sign up for Midjourney. That's really fun. You can generate really cool photos. I get ideas for my apps. Like I'm not a designer, but like I know what good design looks like. So if I can just have a prompt and try that 6, 7, 8 times, that's going to save me a lot of time because like all I need is a design and then I can build it. But like I'm not the designer. I hire designers, but like now I have to hire less designers because I can just hire Midjourney. But yeah, um, learn it. I
Yeah, yeah.
That's the only thing we can do.
Yeah.
Education,
And
educate ourselves.
educate ourselves 100%. And this is the thing that gets me about it is that it is so much better than hiring a copywriter or a graphic designer. I mean, it is so like I've been maybe a little bit negative on it, but like literally, if I remember the hundreds of times I've had to engage a designer when they don't want to do quite what I need them to do, or because it's not going to fit in their portfolio or whatever, because they're the designer. And the same with copywriters, I think. I mean, the thing is, it is a so much better service, I think, than hiring those people, because those people, like historically, have been, I think, a pain in the bum to work with, and you can get something back in minutes rather than weeks, and it can be exactly the thing you want, and you can get it redone. It is amazing. I just do worry about who's going to buy our shit, man. If no one's got any jobs, that's what I worry about.
I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay,
Um,
I won't.
like obviously, like there's going to be a lot of people worrying about it, and it's going to take some people's jobs. The thing is, you have to start preparing now for it. I
Yeah.
think it's a peculiar time to be alive.
Yes.
It's different. It's more different now than ever.
Yes.
You know, we
100%.
if you think about it, we just came out of the forest as human beings just a couple thousand years ago. Really, we've only been living in civilizations for what few thousand years, and we're really not adapted to be spending our every waking moment on a screen. Like even me, over COVID, I realized I didn't want to be in front of my screen as much anymore. You know, so I think that's the way it's going: is learning how to provide for yourself, um, and learn as much at the same time as you can. Like that's the name of the game. I mean, it really always has been, but now the stakes are bigger with AI. Everybody, it's an even playing field now, almost. It's more even now
Almost.
than it has been.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Do you want the really good news?
What's the good news?
We got to the end, man.
All right, great. Well,
Fantastic.
that was a
So,
cool journey. Fun.
yeah, it was a cool little journey for 100% for sure. Okay, so all we have to do now is say goodbye for the benefit of anyone who's still listening, but don't rush off because then I'll stop recording. We'll say goodbye like normal human beings. And yeah, man, this has been a really cool chat. For anyone who is still with us, if you haven't yet, now would be a great time to like, share, subscribe, comment, do all of those good things. And we'll be here, or someone will be here the next time you stop by the Effective Marketing Content Extravaganza. Brother, I've really, really enjoyed this conversation. I think the thing is, I think it's evolving, and I think people's views are evolving, and I think that's kind of where we are. So I think you've evolved my view a little bit more. Um, the thing is, I think we have to use it. What I was always saying was like, make hay while the sun shines. So like you're saying, it's only going to get brighter, it's only going to get better, and it's not necessarily going to be better than this in the future for users. So I think early adopters win in these situations. So yeah, I think that's where we need to be.
I
Thank you
agree.
for being here, man.
Get on that bleeding edge. Ride that wave.
Cool. Thank you for taking the time to check out this episode of the Talk Marketing Show. If you found this interesting and useful, then YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy this one. And this is the latest thing that we've posted. If you haven't yet and you could take a second to like, share, subscribe and comment, then that will give us the motivation to continue on this epic, epic journey.